The smarter you are, the better your excuses. And I mean that clinically, not as a provocation. Intelligent people have access to more sophisticated rationalization. They can construct a compelling case for why they are not moving. And it's going to sound reasonable. It will reference nuance, it will cite legitimate complexity, and it will be at its root the same avoidance that keeps anyone else stuck. In 2 previous videos, I have covered the anatomy or the breakdown, the reverse engineering of a poor performer. And so this is 3rd in that series, and I'll link those videos for you. In the final 6, what we would call the tenets of failure in this series, this is where capable people live. These are not checked out people. These are the ones with full schedules, developed frameworks, real results, and a very specific, very protected place where everything stays stuck and nothing moves. That place has a somatic address. It lives in the body. And that's what we're going to reverse engineer today. So, failure tenet number 1st, embrace passive entertainment. Something interesting happens when we charge our system. Think electricity. This is fear, aggression, urgency, aliveness, what have you. And then we sit still. So it's charged and then we sit. You know, the adrenaline dump that happens while watching something genuinely terrifying. Your mind perceives and processes a threat. Your endocrine system responds. Your neuromuscular system does nothing. This has become pop psychology. It's the dopamine cycle of scrolling and binging, the high that leaves you hollow 20 minutes later. Humans aren't hardwired for effortless pleasure. The biology evolved to produce those highs after real effort and real payoff. But here's what I want you to sit with, and this goes deeper than dopamine. When the body is flooded with stress hormones and no action follows, that association gets trained. Cortisol, adrenaline, states that are meant to activate you, to move you, they start to mean paralysis instead, like you have the gas pedal and the brake on at the same time. And so when those states arise in real life, in real stake situations, you retreat. Not because you're weak, but because that is what your system has practiced. You are always rehearsing something. In our circles, we call this energy constipation, you know? So there's movement internally, like something wants to happen, but it's also stuck and blocked. So just like in physical constipation, any movement is good movement. So if you find yourself in this one, make a decision. Take an action, produce real effort, and see what happens. So there is a place for passive entertainment, but it isn't a replacement for the real stuff of generative effort. Without responsible use, passive entertainment isn't just a time drain. It's your rehearsal for inaction. All right, failure tenet next. Let the urgent override the important. The grandest delusion of them all. Something came up. When I had clients who couldn't manage a commitment, there was no better evidence of self-deceit than the pointing to things that seemed urgent. I'd ask if their health was a priority. The answer was always yes. I'd ask if their revenue and their business was a priority, and the answer was always, of course, yes. But priorities aren't optional. The word prior is inside the word. It comes first. So if a loved one calls in a crisis, you drop what you're doing and you go. That's what a priority looks like in practice, not in theory. The business dinner that broke the nutrition plan, something came up. Or you could have eaten beforehand and told them you were on medication. Traffic? Yeah, knowing traffic exists, you could have left 20 minutes earlier. The body already knows. The tightening when you agree to something that undermines your real intention. That's not anxiety. That's clarity. And most people override it every single day. One of the short acronyms that I will use with my clients is NMW. No matter what. No matter what. And becoming the person who can say that and hold that is an impressive thing. Forgive me for an impromptu shout out. I'm sure if he listens to this video later, he's going to be embarrassed. But my co-founder, Tom Fazio in The Prestige, is pristine at no matter what. I've known him for many, many years now, and there has probably only been 2 times that he's either been late or had to change plans at the last minute because something came up. 2 times in, I'm just going to name it, like 6 years, 7 years, something like that. That's impressive. Not very many people are that way. So the kind of person that does that, like how he is when he says, I'll be there, you can count on he's going to be there. When he says, I'll do that, you can count on it being done. It's impressive. It inspires me. That's usually the bar set high that I try to strive for. So all that to say, plan to be someone who can override things that come up, the felt moments that feels like you need to abort plan, and start to really honor, carve out your priorities, and show up no matter what. Okay, failure tenet number next. Keep researching and postpone taking action. This is a little bit like the passive entertainment one, but it's different because we'll justify this. Unlike scrolling and passive entertainment, this one's about getting ready. So motion will feel like progress. So you have new ideas, new practices, new frameworks, new podcasts to listen to, and lots of intention around, I'm going to maybe bullet point this. I might even have AI formulate it into an analysis. I'm going to try to take my riffs on this, and you make lists and lists and plans, and you just never get around to it. But there is a genuine aliveness to all of the getting ready. And your mind gets to be curious and engaged without the discomfort of actually becoming more capable at something. This is almost always a fear of change, sometimes a fear of failure, the soullessness of genuine skill building. It's repetitive, it's unsexy, it's the unglamorous work. But that's what the research loop is protecting you against feeling. A mantra I return to: create, don't critique. If you cannot point to something you made, something you did, something that exists because of your effort, and you can list 10 books consumed, 8 podcasts absorbed, 4 frameworks studied, your filter is off. Do the thing that you want to be doing. Start today. Actually do it. Suffer for it. If you fail, the awareness and knowledge gaps that surface will teach you 10 times faster than any research you could have done in advance. All right, failure tenet number next. Expect the world to accept you as you are. Expecting the world to treat you fairly because you're a good person is a little like expecting the bull not to attack you because you're a vegetarian. That's a quote by Dennis Worley. The world is indifferent to your intentions. It responds to your actions. There's a difference between intent and impact. The world responds to your actions, your presence, your capacity to deliver consistently, under pressure, without special conditions. This doesn't mean become someone else. It means develop. The self you are at the start of the work is not the self that can do the work, and that's the whole point. This is power. Now, when we are confronted with what I would call pressure or development conditions, we don't respond in the same way. It's been our lived experience for decades that people break down into one of 4 patterns under pressure. They become the warrior, they become the sage, the shapeshifter, or the asset. And each one of those somatic patterns that lives in the body, the nervous system, and the mind, and it influences the decisions and actions in life. If you're curious what your breakdown is, you can find our Somatic Skins Quiz, which is the first step of our diagnostic tool. You can find it in the description below and take that. Then once you receive that, check your email, even your spam and junk folder, because you'll receive an in-depth ebook that goes into those patterns and how to develop range in depth. Okay, so fault number next, speak more than you listen. Those who know don't grow. One of my least favorite traits, in fact, if somebody presents this way as a prospective client, I'm a no to them. But one of my least favorite traits is, I already know that. I already know. I already studied that. I already know that. Oh yeah, I already know that. Because it signals that there's zero openness. If someone is more interested in dumping out the box of everything that they've already learned and they already know, there's no openness to receive. They're full. It is genuinely difficult to remain curious and open once a real level of confidence is achieved. And so I get it. The confidence that comes with that is not something to abandon, but the body knows the difference between confidence and defended, insecure certainty. One is alive, the other is braced. Let me demo this in language, right? So what's really interesting is I have had the privilege of training martial arts with even some upper belts and black belts. I'm not there yet. But they are generally some of the most humble and open people, at least the ones I've had a privilege to know, where if they know a thing or they don't know a thing, they'll own both. And they'll say, yeah, I have some experience in that, but I'm curious to learn more. They've cultivated curiosity, openness as a high performance trait. Now, I'll contrast this with some white belts that I know. And they will bring a level of, oh yeah, I already knew that. I already know that. I already know that. I learned that. Oh yeah, I watched that on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. There is zero openness. And it's interesting to note that while this doesn't exactly correlate with developmental level, there seems to be a correlation in maturity between grounded confidence and actual capability and insecurity that's puffed up and posturing as the real deal, you know? My point is, real listening is a somatic practice. It requires a quality of presence that cannot be performed. And it lives in the body, in the orienting response, the slowing, the genuine not knowing. And it's one of the most reliable indicators of a practitioner operating from real depth versus accumulated content. All right, we are almost nearing the finish line, so failure tenet last. Don't take a step unless you can take 1,000. Incremental steps are the only steps, and with every step, new potential is generated. The most common problem I see in highly capable people who find themselves stalling out, or in those who have yet to begin, is the perception of a gap that's way too wide to cross between where they want to be and where they are today. They describe it as a ladder where the rungs are like, 10 feet from one another. And, that gap between where you want to be and where you are today, that gap is real. But every step in the right direction generates the capacity for the next step. The nervous system that can handle tomorrow's challenge can't yet, but it will be able to once today's is met. The skill built in the doing unlocks the next doing. What keeps people from the first step isn't inability. It's the requirement they've placed on themselves to be able to see all the steps before they take the one. That requirement is the fault, not the gap. Okay, go with me for a moment as we bring this all together. I want to leave you with a portrait. This is not a portrait of obvious failure. It's not someone who has checked out or disengaged from what's meaningful to them. It might even feel like someone you know, and someone who might be you. This is a person who has been in their field for years. They're deeply read. They have sophisticated frameworks. They might even have a client roster or a business that speaks to real ability. They talk about their work with precision and genuine insight. People lean in when they speak. They've been told that they are the most gifted person in the room, and while they are humble and likely don't receive that, it's also not wrong. They've been about to launch a thing for 3 years. And there's always a reason to go deeper into the research, to check out a few things, to address some kind of gap in their development that needs to be addressed before they can fully step in. They aren't in it yet, but they're getting ready to be in it. And it's this feeling that the market isn't quite right, or they need one more credential or one more year of client work before that thing is solid enough. This is a person who produces brilliant ideas in rooms and then goes home and then it doesn't move forward, you know? And over time, their body kind of knows. And so they develop a fatigue that has nothing to do with sleep. It's the low-grade fever that's always there. The way they go slightly flat when someone else launches the thing that they've been sitting on. That's not a discipline problem. It's not even a knowledge problem. The knowledge is exceptional, but this is a capacity problem. And capacity lives in the body. In that portrait, who is that person to you? Have you seen them? Have you been with them? Have you worked with them? What's your version of this? And what do you think that they need to hear? More importantly, what do they need to feel and develop? All right, thanks for sticking with me for today's video. I hope this resonated with you. If so, please do like and subscribe. Helps the channel out, and we love being here for you. This is, as I said, video 3. I'll link the others, but what I hope you're walking away with is not just a checklist, right? You don't need another shit backpack of checklists of should, but a different quality of attention turned inward. We had a little bit of fun reverse engineering the profile of a poor performer, but I want you to know the body is not a problem to be managed. It is the asset. It's the thing that either runs you or that you run. And every fault that we've named in this series, every single one, is resolvable, not through more information, but through trained capacity. That's what the Prestige is. It's our high-touch somatic training academy for practitioners and leaders who have already done the intellectual work, who have the frameworks and the knowledge and the chops, as well as genuine desire to evolve, and who are ready for the thing underneath to actually change. Not managed, not reframed, changed. Well, the work that we do is not for everyone. We have a particular flavor of culture, but it is for the person who recognizes themselves in what I've described. The capable person who is standing at the edge and is done standing. If that's you, the link is in the description. Read it, reach out. If it's the right fit, apply. I want to hear from you. All right, that's what I have for you today. If this episode has been useful, share it. Someone in your world is maybe stuck in one of these tenets of failure and doesn't have the language for it yet. So this might be the very thing that gives it to them. And subscribe if you want more of this. I'll see you in the next one.